How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. Before I get into phone calls this hour, there is news I must bring to you. I suspect you're going to like the news that I'm bringing to you because the New York Times really hates the news that I am bringing to you. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, surrounded by executives of the auto industry, has abolished Joe Biden's fuel mandates that were designed to end the fossil fuel burning vehicle. Friends, gas is good. Well, unless you're crop dusting your friends. Gas is good. Gasoline-powered vehicles are a wonderful thing. An American invention. Mercedes, Henry Ford. President Trump on Wednesday threw the weight of the federal government behind vehicles that burn gasoline rather than electric cars. Vehicles that burn gasoline sounds very much like pregnant people, doesn't it? As opposed to gas-powered cars, vehicles that burn gasoline. See, it's the burn gasoline thing. It's a key phrase. You think I'm making this up. Their word choice is deliberate. It could be a gas-powered versus an electric-powered vehicle. But they don't want to talk about gas power because power has a positive connotation. So it's got to be burn because burn has a negative connotation. So vehicles that burn gasoline rather than electric cars, gutting one of the country's most significant efforts to address climate change and thrusting the automobile industry into greater uncertainty. Remember, the Biden administration mandated something like a 50 or 55 mile per 50.4 miles per gallon efficiency standard, which is impossible to meet with gas-powered vehicles. The president rolled it back to 34.5 miles per gallon. I personally would say get rid of it altogether. But 34.5 miles per gallon is for cars and light trucks is better than 50.4 miles per gallon. You know, the Congress got rid of fines. If car manufacturers violate it, they can no longer be fined by the federal government. That's a law. The fuel efficiency standards, the standards themselves are now watered down. They also got rid of the tax credits. Listen, neither side in the debate is really as free market as they should be, but it is far more free market, far better free market to get rid of subsidies on electric vehicles. Why? Why get rid of subsidies on electric vehicles? It's very straightforward. A subsidy does not reduce costs. It actually raises costs. And it can perpetuate artificial markets. If you want to buy an electric vehicle, God bless you, go buy an electric vehicle. I've thought about buying one. I thought about buying a Tesla. I actually like the Rivian SUVs better. They look a little more manly than the Teslas. And I got to tell you, no offense to the 20 of you that have them, but those Tesla trucks are the most hideous vehicle on the road today. The only people I think who really buy them are people who want to get a rise out of others, which actually kind of makes them debaggish, that I want to provoke a response from others by driving this thing. None of you actually want that vehicle. I'm pretty convinced it's an atrocious vehicle. It really is. If you really want it, if you love it, you've got no taste, but God bless you. You could afford it and buy it. You signal you have no taste. But I think most of the people who bought it they want to provoke a reaction from other people, or they're really into buttons and gadgets. So my wife and I, we went to church with a guy. I'll leave his name out of it. I think his family listens. We went to church with a guy. If there was an electronic device, he owned it. He wore 2 watches. He wore an Apple Watch and he wore one of those old Casio watches that had the calculator and stuff like I had in the 1980s when I was in middle school. He wore a little fanny pack. And in his fanny pack, I kid you not, he kept a mini tablet like an iPad mini. Every electronic gear you get, he had the iPhone. He also had the Samsung. He was like a Clark Howard, but also with expensive electronic taste. He had the cheap Android devices and he had the Apple devices, and he would play with it. It was the craziest thing. He had all these electronics, gadgets, and gears. It was like buttons. It was like it was his tism. It was buttons, screens, touch devices. And I'm assuming there are some people on the spectrum who wanted the Tesla Cybertruck for the same reason. Buttons, screens, but it's a god-awful, ugly vehicle. And it's not really practical as a truck either. The Rivians, I think, did a better job there. I've totally digressed my hatred of the Cybertruck. If you want an electric vehicle, get an electric vehicle. I do like the rugged look of the Rivian better, but I don't think whether you want one or not, the government shouldn't be subsidizing them. They subsidize them because they're expensive, and the government hoped that they could help build the market. And government intervening in the economy, command and control style, to build markets is always a bad idea, and it actually builds inefficiencies. And what we're seeing is that some of these electric car markets and car companies, they're not actually providing stable growth. They were so dependent on government subsidy. When the government subsidy went away, they collapsed. It was an artificial market. And artificial markets are inherently inefficient and waste money. And the Republicans got rid of the tax credits for electric vehicles. If they're going to succeed, they're going to succeed on their own. This is a good story because there's an entire cost of living argument out there. Now, I will say one of the things that the Trump administration did as a tangent is they want to make it cheaper for those little cars that Korea and Japan make to come into the country. If you want big families and the president wants big families, you got to give them cheap big cars. And to get cheap big cars, you need to get rid of the tariffs that are driving up the cost on automobiles, and you've also got to reduce the fuel efficiency standards. He's done one, he needs to do the other. We should lower the fuel efficiency standard even further. Let the market decide. Some people want a more fuel efficient vehicle. They can advertise them as such. A little bit expensive on the upfront, but you're going to save money over time with gas. Some people will go for that, as they do for electric vehicles. But let them, the people, decide. I have a giant SUV. I got to check with my accountant to see if I can offset the cost of my SUV. I'm not sure, but I need to see about it. I like my giant SUV. I think my giant SUV is a good vehicle. It's a comfortable vehicle for my family. It's a giant boat. My wife hates to drive it. Philip had to drive it the other day, and he's like, this thing's ginormous. Yes, but my wife is not a light packer, and I need a large vehicle to handle all the luggage, plus 2 kids and a dog and all of their luggage. Americans should be given choice. What Joe Biden wanted to do was to deprive Americans of choice. It's very funny. Democrats talk a lot about how they're pro-choice, but they're only pro-choice if it comes to murdering a child. For everything else, the Democrats demand that you take one-size-fits-all policy that they want to give you. They want you to be forced into an electric vehicle or no vehicle at all. They actually want you to be forced into a city on public transportation. They don't like you rural Americans. They want your tractor and your combine to be powered by electricity. But where does the electricity come from? Natural gas and coal. They miss that part. They don't like it, but that's the reality. You're not going to get rid of this stuff. What the president has done is economically stimulative and will lower the price of vehicles. Also, we'll get rid of the auto stop-start buttons. One thing I don't like in my vehicle, the auto stop-start. But they had to put it in to comply with the regulations. So I got in the habit of I get in my vehicle and immediately push the stop-start button to turn off that option. This is good progress by the Trump administration. This is Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation.
Mr. Secretary, just one follow-up, and it's something that Mary and I talked about yesterday as well, though. Clearly, this should help bring and make cars more affordable in the short term right now. There's a longer-term question about a world in which China is able to make EVs at materially cheaper prices than ours, in large part because they are subsidized, too, and what that ultimately means globally for American automakers, whether if they're not investing in the same way in EVs for all sorts of reasons, whether 10 years from now we're going to look and say our automakers are living in a regional or domestic market.
But is that my job at DOT or Donald Trump's job to force GM or Ford to invest in EVs? It's their job to look at the market and global demands. And if they see global demands for EVs are real, they should make those investments. But let's not force them to build cars that Americans don't want to buy in this country. We're not going to do that. And again, I think China loves the EV push because they control 90% of critical minerals. They have a corner on the market. Every car that's going to be sold is going to have Chinese parts in it and Chinese processed critical minerals in those cars. Listen, we have a lot of oil and gas here. We have so again, I think we should be responsive to global markets, but also to the American markets as well. And again, China wants this because China has a corner on critical minerals.
Yes. Here's Ford's CEO.
It's a really important improvement for U.S. customers. What you should know is that this is a victory for affordability and common sense. As the president said, we will be able to offer more affordability on our popular models, and we'll be able to launch new vehicles built in America that are more affordable because of this rule change. Frankly, CAFE was totally out of touch with the market reality. We were forced to sell EVs and other vehicles. We're not going back to gas guzzlers. We have a lot of EVs and a lot of hybrids at Ford. But now customers get a chance to choose what they want, not buy what we force on them.
Yes. Although I want the gas guzzler. You get a big car. I want a big, cheap car. Then home. The other thing, and by the way, Republicans are looking at this in Congress, and the ninnies are freaking out. The Republicans are looking at getting rid of safety features that are mandated by government bureaucrats. Do you really need the backup camera? One of the new ones is the emergency auto braking system. The government is going to demand that vehicles have in them an auto braking system that if they detect a person or a vehicle directly in front of the car, it slams on the brakes. Mine has it, and I hate it. Why? Because when I come into my parking garage in the morning, there's a car at the top of the parking garage that is parked. I'm not going to hit it. I know it's there, but my car, if I come in too fast, slams on the brakes. I spilled my coffee the other day. I didn't expect it to happen. Literally the car came to a complete stop by itself, nearly gave me whiplash because the auto braking system kicked in. I wasn't going to hit the car, but my car's too stupid to know, and that's what they want in every car, and it drives up the cost. The rear cameras drive up the cost. The air pressure sensor in the tires drives up the cost. All of these little things drive up the cost, and there's always someone who believes, but it's going to save lives. It's going to help. What you don't understand is that it's making vehicles too expensive for Americans. You're driving up the cost of the American family. Every activity in life involves some sort of risk, including driving, and we have now burdened Americans overwhelmingly with these ridiculous costs. We're pricing families out of being able to buy cars in the name of the ninny-nanny state, saving lives by adding obscene safety features that are not needed in vehicles. When my son went for his driving test a few months ago, they made him turn his head around and look out the back windshield and use his mirrors to go in reverse. He didn't need the camera. It wasn't even, he wasn't allowed to rely on the camera. And yet these ninnies are like, we need the reverse rear view camera. There could be someone back there. Well, teach people to look. It's why we have mirrors. Stop forcing these costs on Americans because you found some reason to decide that everybody must use it because you think it's a good thing. And that's why and it is typically females, just forgive me for saying that truth, are about to pick up the phone now and call and explain to me why we must have all of these safety features in vehicles. No, we don't need them. We're driving up the cost needlessly on Americans. What the president has done is a good thing.
Guys, if you struggle to come up with gifts for family members, I got a suggestion for you, the Cove Pure. I love mine. I wasn't sure I would like it as much as I do, and I really, really, really do. What is a Cove Pure? Well, it's an water filtration system. It's on the countertop. You can get cold water. You can get hot water. It even has a bottle button, so you can get the warm bottle perfect for formula for your baby at night. It's really easy. It's so convenient. I use it all the time in my office. You will love it. It sits on the countertop. It uses reverse osmosis. It gets rid of like pharmaceuticals, fluoride, lead, arsenic. It's the purest water you can get. It tastes fantastic. If you're looking for a great gift for your loved ones or for yourself that they're actually going to use the Cove Pure. I partnered with them. They're giving you a $250 holiday discount with my link, covepure.com/Eric. That's COVEPURE.com/Eric, ERICK. You get $250 off, covepure.com/Eric. The sale is going to end, so take advantage of this $250 holiday discount, covepure.com/Eric.
Hello, America. It is Eric Erickson. I am delighted to have you. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Be patient with me. Be patient. I will, when I come back, take your phone calls. My producer is siding with one of the callers here, but Alan, stay on the line because I promise I'm getting to you when we come back. I've just got a limited amount of time here, and I do need to note for you, the FBI I will get the audio when I can. They're going to talk about Brian Cole, who is the January 6th pipe bomber arrested in Washington, D.C. He is, they're having some coverage now explaining this. As soon as I can get the audio for you, I will bring it to you. They found Brian Cole. He's the alleged suspect. They describe him as an anarchist who was out to wreak havoc on January 6th, planting pipe bombs at the DNC and the RNC, the Democratic and Republican National Committees in Washington, D.C. There's been a long-time hunt. Kudos to the FBI for this. They get a lot of flack these days, but the field agents of the FBI continue to be remarkable investigators, and they have done a remarkable job tracking down this individual who they allege, we don't know, we'll see what the facts are, they allege he's the pipe bomber, not who the Blaze said it was going to be. Boy, that is going to be a massive, massive defamation lawsuit if that woman decides to sue the Blaze for them outing her the way they did. With banks out there having all sorts of problems, regulators out there having all sorts of issues, Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash. They are the nation's trusted leader in precious metals and have been for 40 years. They would love to help you safeguard your hard-earned cash from this secret war on cash. They have a report to give you. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save on your retirement and finances. If you would like to get a copy of their report, The Secret War on Cash, all you have to do is call or text my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. The War on Cash includes digital forms of currency. They're coming for your crypto. The government wants you to spend with plastic because they want to be able to see what you're buying. They don't like it that you're using cash and crypto. Get the Secret War on Cash report completely free. All you do is mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. The report's at no charge to you. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Put your information in. Or if you just don't want to talk to people, just text them Eric, ERICK, to 800-289-2646. Swiss America will help you. Message and data rates may apply.
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you can only pick two. What if you could have all three at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have since they've upgraded to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How's it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and for all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/Erickson, ERICKSON. That's oracle.com/Erickson.
Hello, my friends. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Let's go to the phones, waiting patiently. Alan, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
What's going on?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be tuned in and listen to your last hour. And, you know, as I was listening, especially when that last caller came in, a lot of question marks started popping up in front of me. And I thought, you know, I guess these are questions you could answer. But when we talk about the Somalis, we talk about the issues with the fraud, with how they're coming into our country to do us harm that way. We heard that guy talk about the Haitians and how they've been moved in, and we know we've heard before about troubles with them. And then we're dealing with all these millions of people from Mexico and South America, and we focus at this point on just getting the bad guys. So how do we look at the Somalis? How do we look at the Haitians? And then where do we draw a line on which group of invaders that we only pick out the worst to send back home?
You know, so I don't think it's a picking out which group to send back home. It's prioritizing. Who do we go after first, second, third? I do think there's an argument to be said, for example, that a lot of the Somalis actually are American citizens who are involved in these problems in Minnesota. We shouldn't forget that. By the way, the Minnesotan government says how much they contribute to the economy, that it's some large amount. But if you do the math, it amounts to these people are making about $6,500 a year. So not exactly producing a lot of growth for the economy in and of themselves. But let's take the Haitians and the Somalis who have come over in the last number of years because they have sought refugee status. They've been given temporary rights. The temporary rights have expired. Send them home. The people whose permissions to stay in the country have expired. It's time to send them home. The people who are criminals, have a criminal record beyond just crossing the border, let's send them home. The people who are affiliated with gangs, let's send them home. Start there. That's a significant portion. Once we've gotten there, the president has secured the border. Let's start talking about, okay, now, what do we do as far as getting rid of the people who have been here for 30 years? And what do we do about the kids who have been here for a very long time and they don't know any other place? They don't know home outside of the United States. By the way, that's a real issue with the so-called dreamers, is how do we deal with even those people? But I don't think we have to get there yet. I think where we have to begin with is let's go after the gangbangers. Let's go after the criminals. Let's go after the people who have overstayed their welcome and they're still here. They're supposed to be gone. Let's get rid of them. Let's start there. And we can nuance our way out of this. We can, in fact, say that we have priorities of who should be deported in this country. The deportations are the visa overstays, the people with criminal records, and the gangbangers. Let's start there, get rid of them, and then we'll worry about the rest after we've gotten rid of those high priorities. Focus our resources on them. And I think what we will see is that the conversations change over time. But if we're taking a very blanket approach of let's go after the grandmother who's been here for 30 years and let's go after the gangbanger, you're going to provoke a reaction from some people. And remember, I'm not talking about you. You want it to happen. But you yourself cannot get elected to power. You have to find ways to compromise with a coalition of people to get you majority support. Know when you're in the minority, even when you think you're right, people. And we've got lots of data out there, including exit polling data from Hispanic voters who are shifting back to the left saying, we want the bad guys deported. We just don't think you're deporting those first. You're going after the people in our community that have been here for a long time. So prioritize, and you'll have the Hispanic coalition with you. Prioritize. And frankly, one of the things we have to do, if we're real honest about it, is we've got to go in and do major illegal immigration deportations in the blue enclaves of the blue states that they're using to preserve their electoral college strength. Because they're using illegal immigrants to preserve their electoral college strength. It has nothing to do with propping up their economy. It has nothing to do with their contribution to society. It has to do with contributing to Democrats maintaining power. So go into the blue states and focus on the deportations in the blue areas of the blue states and reduce the numbers of illegal immigrants who are available for the census count. There's also strategy there. Now, Joe in Germantown, Ohio, I'm going to just read you the comment that my producer wrote, which is very rare for him to do. Wants to defend the tire sensor. Charlie says, I'm with him. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Bear with me a second. I got to take it off speaker.
You're a good man. I like you already, Joe.
My fault. I apologize profusely.
It's all right. I'm surprised that Charlie let you on that way, but it's okay.
Well, I was actually on the phone, put it on speaker while I waited. Anyway, I'm a little older than you. When I went through driver's ed training in school, we actually had it in school then, the instructor made us walk around that car and do what was equivalent to a flight check on a B-17 going over Germany. Hello?
Yep, I'm listening.
Okay, making sure I didn't lose you. One of the things that always got me was you got to keep those tires inflated. Having that little light to say, okay, you need to check your tires, that's a great thing. The rest of it I think is trash, especially backup cameras. Thank God my grandson, who just started driving, does not have one in his car, so he can learn to back up. But, to me, that was the one useful thing.
Look, I admit it's useful, but is it necessary when cars are now, the average cost of a vehicle now is over $30,000? We're pricing more and more people. I don't dispute it's handy. I find it handy on my car. In fact, my car now has a feature that I did not even know that I had. So when I'm out, if I've got a low tire and I fill it up, the horn honks so that I know I've reached the level.
Okay, that's a little bit beyond.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. But I didn't know I had that feature. I just want you to know that a couple of weeks ago, my tire sensor told me I had a low tire, and I'm standing there. It is the front driver's side tire, and it scared the crap out of me when my horn blew.
Fair enough. But again, that is the one thing that I'm willing to pay the cost for because it's, to me, a very good thing. And I don't have to walk around my car, check my tires.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
But you see, so this is I don't actually disagree with you that it's a useful, handy feature. But my point, too, is that do we really want to look a poor person in the face who needs a vehicle to commute because they live somewhere without public transportation and say, we could give you a cheaper car, but we're required to put all of these extra things in the car? I mean, I think, frankly, if you're a poor person, you got to maintain the car anyway. Yeah, so
and I agree with you.
It's so handy. The tire sensor is so handy.
That's one that's worth it.
Yeah. For you and me, it is. Frankly, though, Joe, I got to tell you, I still think I had to learn how to change the oil when I got a car. My brother-in-law was a master chief of the Navy and a great auto mechanic, still is a great auto mechanic. He's retired from the Navy, taught me how to change the oil in my car, change the filter, do all of that. And check the pressure of my tires. I have my tire gauge that I keep in my glove box. I have shown my kids how to do it on theirs so that they know how to do it. I think it's useful. But again, we're pricing poor people out of the market with these things that you and I think are great things. But what about the poor person who needs reliable transportation to work? First of all, they should be learning how to keep up their car, so they should be learning the tire pressure. And they should be learning to check the oil and all that. Like, folks, that you have the thing you can pull out from under the hood and wipe it off, stick it back in, test your oil levels. You should learn how to do that. There are all these things. We're making it so easy for the car to do it itself. We no longer have to do it. But if we actually incentivize teaching people these things, we could lower the cost for people by just saying, okay, you don't need this in your car. I completely agree. The tire sensor is very handy. It's actually really handy now that I know it's going to blow the horn of my car when I've reached the level, so I don't have to keep popping my head back in the car or looking at the tire pressure gauge. It just does it. But my point is, for a poor person who needs reliable transportation, do you want your taxes to go to a public transit system in your community that you don't have but has to start because we price poor people out of cars, or do you want a poor person to be able to buy a reliable, cheap vehicle? And if you want the person to buy a reliable, cheap vehicle, more likely than not it's going to be a used car, but still all that stuff adds up, and then it breaks. And you got to pay hundreds of dollars for labor and costs to fix it. I would prefer to not have all of these features on low-end model cars so that someone who needs a car can afford it, instead of me having my taxpayer dollars go to a transit system that only hauls a few people around. I've got a transit system in my community for poor people. There are some routes that are crowded, but most of them never are. But it's a massively subsidized system. We actually would be better off buying these people vehicles. It would actually save money. But oh my God, the environmentalists would go nuts. There are trade-offs to be made. And I think that what we have done in the name of safety, and let's be real honest here, why do we have the tire sensor? We have the tire sensor because environmentalists decided that for fuel efficiency reasons, it would be good to have the tire sensor so that if your car gets slightly low in tire pressure, you'll know to put air in your tire for maximum efficiency of your car to reduce emissions. That's actually why it's there. We're pricing people out of cars. And the rationale is, well, okay, but this only costs $500 extra. That's true. But the people who like the rear view camera said, well, okay, it only costs $500. Well, now we're talking $1,000. Which one do we pick? And then the wraparound airbags in the car. Every single quarter of your car has got to have an airbag. That's a couple $1,000. And then the auto braking system, that's about $1,000. And remember, they also now want breathalyzers in cars. Congress itself wants new models after 2027 to have breathalyzers in cars, that when you start your car, you got to blow into the breathalyzer. Yes, they actually do want to be able to have that installed feature in cars. And then some members of Congress are advocating mandatory drive dashboard cameras that the police will be able to take the video footage of if you're in a wreck. Let's add that cost. Let's add all these other costs. You can justify everything. Look, in an age of auto insurance fraud that is driving up the cost on Americans, if we require every American to have a dashboard-mounted camera that looks into the car and on the road so we can see into the car as the driver texting or looking to the road, did someone swerve in front of them and slam on their brakes, it'll eliminate a lot of insurance fraud. It'll reduce costs of insurance. It'll actually save people. We should make that mandatory. Why not? That's the argument for the review camera. That's the argument for the tire sensor. That's the argument for the airbags. That's the argument for everything else. Why not invade your privacy just a little bit more to reduce insurance costs? Because you'll benefit from it. You'll save insurance costs. Why not mandate dashboard cameras? You can justify anything. You can justify anything. And I just think that what we should be doing is justifying reducing the cost of vehicles for poor people. And to do that, we have to give up these things. If you want them in your car, get them. If you want the tire sensor, get the car with the tire sensor. If you want the rear view camera, get the car with the rear view camera. If you want the wraparound camera, get that one. If you want the self-drive feature, get that one. But if you want a poor person to be able to get the work so you're not subsidizing that person's life, Let that poor person buy a car they can afford. And we'll all be better off in the long run if we can allow that person reliable transportation to go to work that doesn't depend on a heavily subsidized public transportation system. And we'll be able to stop worrying about food deserts, restaurant deserts, and all the deserts the left has labeled because someone is 5 miles from a grocery store. They can get in their cheap car and go. I think we got to rethink of these things. And kudos to this administration for being willing to rethink those things. And to Republicans in Congress, led by Ted Cruz on the Commerce Committee of the Senate, for rethinking all the safety features we're demanding in cars these days at the federal government level. Greetings. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Let's go to Steve on the phones. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Hi, Eric. I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I had a comment, and you made reference to it earlier, that the Democrats seem insane to us. And when I watch the news, I hear the Republicans come on and talk about how the Democrats have just gone completely insane. But I think the answer is completely obvious, especially with what happened with the Somalians up in Minnesota, that all these gangbangers, narco-terrorists, and you have it, who the Democrats now seem to love. There's an obvious reason, and that's it's money, right? The government doles out all the money to the Somali scam, or the NGOs, the nonprofits, and a little bit of that comes back to fund the campaigns for the Democrats. It's always the Democrats, but probably happens the other way as well. What are your thoughts? I think it's obvious.
Look, there are a lot of NGOs that are getting money from these things. They're being funded, and then they write checks to the Democrats. It's the same reason with illegal immigration in these cities, why they want to protect it, because it props up their electoral college numbers. Under the U.S. Constitution, the United States Census must count everyone who lives in a state, not every citizen. Everyone has been interpreted to mean legal and illegal. And so they count all the illegal aliens. They pad their numbers for the census to get numbers in electoral college, and that gives them a boost in the House of Representatives. It preserves declining populations of blue states where the citizens themselves are fleeing because of the tax burden. The NGOs get money from the government, and then they fund Democratic candidates through outside entities. And also, you've got a lot of money from left-wing groups and progressive interests that are so wackadoo and out to lunch, and they themselves push this stuff. It's not just the NGOs. It's not rerouting of taxpayer dollars. It's also, you got the Hewlett Foundation. You got the Soroses out there. You got all the big people in Hollywood, a lot of major CEOs in the tech industry, all funding this insanity. And by the way, I do think as well that the silver lining here for Republicans is that these guys are so freaking out to lunch. They don't relate to normal people, that it does give Republicans an advantage as long as you seem normal. Remember, the job is to just not out crazy the other side. It's to be sane. It's to be level-headed, or at least more level-headed than the other side. It's a real issue that you got to be mindful of out there, that you just don't be crazy. Don't be crazy, Republicans. You would be crazy if you missed an opportunity to call Vision Computers at 404 Compute and had them build a computer for you. You would be out of your mind to go to the one-size-fits-all big box store when any one of you nationwide, from Anchorage, Alaska, listening right now, all the way down to Palm Beach, Florida, you can go to Vision Computers. Call them at 404 Computer. Go to visioncomputers.com. They can build a computer for you. Makes a great holiday gift. They've got great holiday deals. And then you get your managed IT services. So if you're on your computer, day or night, you have a question, an issue, a problem, you call a special number, 15 seconds or less, they're on the phone with you, an actual human being. Not AI, but an actual human being. And they navigate you through your problems. They can even remote in to help you fix your computer. Call them at 404 Computer. Go to visioncomputers.com. for your office. If you're looking to save money in the coming year, let them be your managed IT service. Instead of dealing with some AI algorithm, you'll deal with actual human beings. So your profitability is up, your online status is up, your employees are more engaged and good at their jobs, not at the computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today, anywhere nationwide. Tell them Eric sent you. Save some money. VisionComputers.com.